Welcome to the Fantasy Draft Weekly Rundown. Joining me, as per usual, after a week off, is co-host and NFL Ironman London Fletcher. London, after spending last week talking to myself, it's good to have you back. I wanted to get your thoughts on something I saw while in Vegas this weekend. I was watching, I think it was NFL Network, and SI's Peter King said that all plays should be reviewable and not just the ones that they have now. What are your thoughts on that, and what should be reviewable?
Oh man, I love Peter, but I don't want everything to be reviewable. The game would be another hour long if we were reviewing everything. We're gonna start reviewing holding, legal contact, all kind of different plays if that's the case. Obviously there's some human element and errors that take place in the course of the National Football League in the games, but it's always taking place like that. I think as far as what we review right now, it's fine.
Yeah, I think it's something like 10 minutes worth of a 3-hour broadcast is the
Yeah.
actual action in an NFL football game. So the last thing it needs is more of that. I'm gonna have to agree with you. Again, last week I was asking myself the questions, and I kind of answered this one. So I'm gonna ask you
So you
this
were
week,
asking
since I think that's
yourself questions? Wow, you need some friends,
yeah,
man. You really need some friends.
yeah. Exactly. Well, we're heading towards the actual playoffs, not just the yearly fantasy playoffs. And some teams are in must-win situations. Who are the teams to target this week? Maybe some of the ones hanging on the edge because of the added motivation. And who do you like? Some of my suggestions are the Oakland Raiders, eighth in the AFC, or maybe Tampa, a big loss at the Saints last week. Now they're in the seventh spot. So what do you think?
Those are Tampa's loss last week to New Orleans definitely was a big one. Oakland, they Amari Cooper, Derek Carr, those are always good plays. I look at maybe you look at the Jets, they're still battling for a wild card spot. I know they currently are in the playoffs, but if they went out, they should be okay. I like their receivers, both Decker and Brandon Marshall. Those are guys. Chris Ivory, is another good play. So as a running back, so those are some guys that I would like.
There you go. I'm going to agree with those. I think Brandon Marshall, according to Pro Football Focus, has one of the best two individual matchups of the week, which I noticed earlier. So I definitely will be on the Marshall train this week. I agree with you. Let's get to the picks. Let's start with the quarterbacks. And for the first time in a while, I'm not just going with the guy against the Saints.
Oh,
I think
really?
that's too easy. Yeah, I'm actually going to pick one that's in a mediocre to subpar matchup, and I'm going to go with Derek Carr against the Packers because they do need this win. And although the Packers do rank kind of middle of the road, I don't think they're a great passing defense, and especially I think Michael Crabtree and Amari Cooper will have the talent to beat them. I think the Raiders are going to have to put up points in order to beat Aaron Rodgers, even though Aaron Rodgers really isn't the same Aaron Rodgers this year. But I think this is a game where Carr could throw for 3, 4 touchdowns. And he's only priced at 11,200, so just slightly above the minimum. And that's who I'll be taking this week. Who do you like?
You know, uh, I'm not going to go against the Saints either. Although Stafford would be a great play. I'm going to go Russell Wilson. I like Russell Wilson. You got him facing the Cleveland Browns, and everybody knows how bad the Cleveland Browns defense is. If you look at Russell Wilson over the last, 4 ball games, 16 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He's averaging, I think, 32.4 fantasy points per game. So he is on a phenomenal roll. You look at Cleveland's defense. They've allowed 26 touchdown passes on the season. So I like that matchup. Cleveland's defense traveling all the way to Seattle to face Russell Wilson. That's he's a must play for me.
Yeah, and crazily enough, all of a sudden Doug Baldwin is I think it's 8 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks. If I saw it right, I think it's 3, 2, and 3. So if you're looking for a connection in tournaments to maximize your upside, it looks like he's the guy who's going to be looking for in the red zone. So I agree with that. Let's move on to the running backs. This isn't a position I'm going to mess around with this week. I'm going Devontae Freeman. He's kind of been too quiet for too long for a guy who I consider probably the best running back in football. It's either him or Gurley. The Falcons, again, are in a must-win situation. They've been playing some kind of horrible football recently. And Jacksonville's middle of the road against opposing running backs. I liked Gore last week. He didn't really get it done, but I'm definitely feeling confident about Devontae Freeman. Who do you like?
I love David Johnson, running back for the Arizona Cardinals. He's been the go-to guy with the injury to Chris Johnson the last couple ball games. You look at him over the last two ball games. He's averaging 24 touches a game, both in rushing the football, and also he catches passes out of the backfield. So obviously we're a PPR league, so that helps with him. And he's not going to cost you as much as your Devontae Freeman. Freeman's going to cost you 14 something. 14-1,
Yep.
where my guy's going to cost you 10-7. And you look at the productivity and the what you're getting at the last two ball games, 18.6 fantasy points per game. So he's a guy I love. And also Lamar Miller against the San Diego Chargers. San Diego Chargers are a mess. Lamar Miller, I like him against the San Diego Chargers. So those are two guys I would target at the running back position.
Yeah, I would be checking on the status of Ellington this week. I saw that he is listed as questionable, at least initially. So you do want to follow that if you're rostering Johnson, as Coach Bruce Arians has been known to go to the committee if it all fails.
Well,
so
it doesn't matter. Since week 11, the Philadelphia Eagles have given up the second most fantasy points to running back. So even if Ellington plays, they're both will produce.
Right, and Johnson, in terms of touchdowns per touch, I think he still leads the NFL. So he'll still get his. He just may not see those 24 touches. That's all for the first half of the weekly rundown this week. Stay tuned for the wide receiver, tight end, the defense, and, of course, the questions.